A photograph captures a single moment, but it can influence the way we feel and perceive history for a lifetime. These images have shaped our collective memory, sparked change, and defined eras, reflecting the diverse and dynamic story of America. Today, we showcase the top 10 U.S. photographs that captured historic events and heartfelt moments. Number 1. Raising the flag on Iwo Jima, 1945. One photograph froze a war moment and reached hearts far from battle. In 1945 on Iwo Jima, 6 United States Marines lifted a tall flag onto Mount Suribachi after days of fierce fighting. At that instant, photographer Joe Rosenthal from the Associated Press reacted fast, raised his heavy camera, and pressed the shutter without using the viewfinder. Soon people learned this was the second flag of the day, made larger so it could be seen across the island and lift tired spirits. When newspapers printed the image across America, families saw unity, effort, and shared purpose in one powerful frame, and war bond sales increased quickly. Rosenthal felt unsure about the photo and heard praise before he even saw the print himself. Rumors claimed the scene was posed, yet records, film, and witnesses confirmed the moment happened naturally. Over time, the image inspired memorials, stamps, and films, while 3 of the Marines later died in combat, reminding viewers of real cost. Number 2. Earthrise, 1968. Man walks on the moon, 1969. This moment changed how humans saw home forever. In 1968, during Apollo 8, astronaut William Anders looked out from lunar orbit and saw Earth rising. He grabbed a Hasselblad camera and captured Earthrise, a blue planet floating alone, and people later said it made Earth feel small and shared. From that view, the story quickly grew bigger. Earthrise was taken on December 24, 1968, with color film, and mission audio caught pure surprise and joy. The photo spread worldwide, shaped environmental thinking, and reminded everyone that all lives share one fragile place. Simple as that. Then, 1 year later, history moved closer. In 1969, during Apollo 11, humans walked on the moon. Neil Armstrong took a photo of Buzz Aldrin standing on the surface. Aldrin's visor reflects Armstrong, the Eagle lander, and the flag. From that landing, the meaning became clear. The moon photo proved humans could reach beyond Earth, while Earthrise taught why Earth matters. Together, these images showed courage, teamwork, and wonder, and they make hearts feel full. Number 3, 1932, lunch atop a skyscraper. High above New York, during the construction of Rockefeller Center in 1932, 11 ironworkers, without harnesses, sat casually eating lunch atop a thin steel beam. This photo became known as lunch atop a skyscraper. It contrasts the ambition of building one of the world's largest projects during the bleakest times of the Great Depression and embodied the courage and fearlessness of America's working class among New York City's skyline. The building's construction demanded the largest order of steel and limestone of its time, boasted some of the fastest elevators in the world, and incorporated art and sculpture, including Paul Manship's Prometheus and Lee Laurie's Atlas. The photo was distributed by Acme News Pictures and published in the New York Herald Tribune, although the photographer remains unknown. As the image spread, viewers experienced a mix of awe and admiration as it became an iconic symbol of America's daring spirit, ambition, and the optimism of progress. Number 4, 1945, VJ Day in Times Square. On August 14, 1945, Times Square burst into light after years of war silence. Crowds filled the streets when Japan surrendered and peace finally arrived. Amidst the chaos, photographer Alfred Eisenstadt walked quickly with his Leica, searching to capture the joy of the bustling crowd. Despite his efforts, none of his images seemed to turn out quite as he had hoped. Then suddenly a Navy sailor spontaneously grabbed a woman in white and kissed her. Eisenstadt captured 4 frames, choosing instinct, contrast, and balance, rather than careful planning. Life magazine printed the image, and people across the country felt relief and joy through its powerful image. Meanwhile, Navy photographer Victor Jorgensen recorded the same moment and was published in the New York Times. Over the years, it has been described as a defining image of the American century, one that expressed the joy of a nation at its moment of greatest triumph. Decades later, the identities of the subjects remained a mystery. It wasn't until the 1980s that sailor George Mendonça and nurse Greta Zimmer Friedman were publicly confirmed. Although they were not a couple and the kiss was not romantic, the photograph and their story were powerful in feeling victory, relief, and the end of a devastating war, frozen in a single spontaneous moment. The image has since been reproduced and referenced in numerous movies, documentaries, and artworks, securing its place in popular culture. Number 5. Migrant Mother, 1936. Rain and hunger met on a California road in 1936. During a work trip, photographer Dorothy Lang almost drove past a pea pickers camp before turning back. At the camp, she saw a worried mother sitting under a rough tent with her children pressed close. Lang spoke briefly, learned the woman was 32, widowed, and feeding her family with frozen crops and birds. She took 7 photos and sent the strongest images to Washington after fixing a small detail on the film. The picture showed strength mixed with fear, a mother thinking hard while children hid their faces. Because Lang worked for the government, the photo spread fast in newspapers and reached millions. Public response was huge, and food and medical aid arrived within days at the camp. The woman was Florence Owens, later known worldwide, though she never asked for fame. Some details were imperfect, and help came after her family had already moved on. Even so, the image became the face of struggle during the Depression. Number 6. Muhammad Ali versus Sonny Liston. On May 25, 1965 in Lewiston, Maine, young champion Muhammad Ali faced Sonny Liston under bright lights. At ringside, photographer Neil Leifer sat ready, camera loaded, knowing seconds decide history. 1 minute and 44 seconds into round 1, Ali landed a sharp right and Liston fell hard. In that instant, Leifer pressed the shutter and caught Ali standing tall, shouting defiance. The image shows power, confidence, and motion frozen while the crowd disappears behind ropes. Smoke, sweat, and light turned the ring into a perfect stage. Ali was 23, loud, fearless, and already changing how athletes spoke and stood. Liston was older, feared, and silent on the canvas, making the contrast striking. When Sports Illustrated printed the photo, it spread across the world fast. People saw more than boxing. They saw attitude, pride, and a shifting culture. Number 7. Marilyn Monroe, white dress. The white dress moment changed pop culture forever in 1954. In New York City, Marilyn Monroe stood above a subway grate while filming The 7-Year Itch. As a train passed below, the wind blew the dress up, exposing her legs. During filming, hundreds of curious fans gathered at night, making it difficult to complete the scene. Because of this, director Billy Wilder recreated the scene on a studio set. Behind the look stood designer William Trevia, who created the dress to move with air. The dress shape and fabric made the motion clear on camera. Watching closely, photographer Sam Shaw captured images that spread across magazines. His idea came from an earlier Win photo that sold a magazine. In the scene, Monroe smiles instead of hiding, which shocked viewers. The image showed confidence and freedom at a strict time. After her death, the dress stayed locked away. When it appeared at auction, it sold for $5.6 million. Today, the white dress image remains one of the most known moments in film history. Number 8. Transcontinental Railroad, 1869. On May 10, 1869, two trains met at Promontory Summit to link a nation by rail. In front of the engines, leaders from Union Pacific and Central Pacific shook hands. Photographer Andrew J. Russell stood ready and recorded the instant. It was one of the greatest engineering achievements of its time, spanning approximately 1,912 miles, linking the U.S. from Atlantic to Pacific coast. His image shows crowds, soldiers, officials, flags, and the final rail in place. A golden spike waited to be driven while nearly 1,000 people watched closely. The picture spread fast and became a symbol of America's industrial progress and national unity. Behind the scene, thousands had already done the hardest work. More than 13,000 Chinese workers built most of the western track. They blasted tunnels, crossed mountains, and laid miles of rail. Yet in the photograph, almost none of them appear. Only two were faint, hidden by distance and long exposure. This absence changed how people read the image years later. The photo still matters because it shows both celebration and silence together. It reminds viewers cameras choose what is seen. Number 9. Flower Power Photo, 1967. Crowds filled the streets of Washington in 1967 with hope and tension together. On October 21st, almost 100,000 people marched to protest the Vietnam War near the Pentagon. That afternoon, photographer Mark Reboot moved fast, using his final roll of film. In front of soldiers holding bayonets, a young girl stepped forward calmly. She held a simple flower close to the sharp steel tips, without fear on her face. Reboot framed the moment and pressed the shutter. The girl was 17-year-old Jan Rose Casimir, and she traveled miles by herself to participate in the protest. The soldier facing her looked nervous and unsure, creating a quiet contrast. This image spread across newspapers and magazines around the world. Other protesters were inspired, and a similar photo by Bernie Boston was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize. People saw youth facing force with softness instead of anger. Reboot said sympathy helped him understand war better than distance. Number 10. Babe Ruth Bows Out, 1948. In 1948, one photograph captured the final public moment of baseball legend Babe Ruth. At Yankee Stadium, nearly 50,000 fans gathered to honor him as the New York Yankees retired his iconic number 3. He walked slowly onto the field, wearing his old uniform and leaning on a baseball bat for support. 14 years had passed since he last played for the Yankees, yet his influence still defined the team, earning the stadium its nickname, the house that Ruth built. At the time, Ruth was battling throat cancer, and his condition was visible as he stood near home plate. While other photographers lined the baseline, Nathaniel Fine moved behind home plate, choosing to capture the number on his back instead of his face. The image showed a solitary figure, both strong and fragile, stepping away from the game he helped transform. Published the next day, the photograph later won the 1949 Pulitzer Prize and became one of the most recognized images in American sports history. History lives inside these frames. Which photo hit you the hardest? Drop a comment, like the video, and subscribe for more stories behind the world's most powerful images.